folks, this is take 2 of the Parker Hopper Show. Today is Sunday, July 15th. I already made this video a couple hours ago, but I guess you need to verify on the computer or whatever, and that really screwed things up because I don't remember my password. So, we are going to be redoing it. I'm going to be talking about military spending and the war in the Middle East. Going to be talking about Islam. Going to be talking about borders. Going to be talking about gay marriage. And I'm going to be talking about religion. Let's get started. So, our military is spending 30% of our spending goes to the military. And we spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on it. Well, not exactly. Yes, we spend that much on military. But that's not going to our military. That's going to other countries' militaries. So, I find it strange how people say, oh, we spend way too much money on our military. We need to cut the funding. We need to quit spending so much on our military. We are the strongest country in the world. We're not. I'd say we're not. I think Russia, maybe even China, strongest countries in the world. North Korea is getting up there, but they're definitely not as powerful as us because they don't have any trade allies. They don't have any real allies, really. They just have, weapons and they have threats. So, as we spend all this money on things like NATO and other countries, we start to really lose our military because we're spending so much of it on other countries. And we even spend so much money putting our bases in other countries. So why are we doing that? That's a legitimate question that I have for people out in DC. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is the war in the Middle East. Now, I don't know what the hell we're doing. Okay, I don't think anyone knows what we're doing. We don't have a legitimate enemy. The only enemy we have in the Middle East are the terrorists. And in case you didn't realize this, folks, terrorism isn't a country. Okay, they don't come from one place. They come from many places. They come from all over the world. So fighting terrorism it's really strange. Now, yes, terrorism is a threat to the world. No, we should not be spending so much money on it because you'll never end terrorism. You get rid of Al-Qaeda, you get ISIS. You get rid of ISIS, you get someone else. Don't know who yet, but there is always a terror group out there. So, what are these wars actually for? That really leads up to the question of, is our government actually fighting for freedom? Well, I would say no, because this question will really answer that. How many freedoms have you gotten since 2001? How many freedoms have you gotten since 9/11? You can't name one, but you can definitely name all the freedoms that you've lost since then. I can at least name one. You've lost your privacy rights. You've gotten a stronger police force, which is, in fact, taking away our rights as citizens because they are not upholding the Fourth Amendment. They are breaking into homes illegally, and they are doing all these things that the Constitution obviously is not for. So all these wars aren't really keeping us safe. They are, in fact, putting us in more harm than we were already in. You are more likely to be killed by a police officer in the United States than you are to be killed by a terrorist. Did you know you are also more likely to die from a car accident than you are from terrorists? Did you know you are more likely to be killed by a pig than a terrorist in the United States. You know why? Because not many people in the United States are killed by terrorists. I think there are less than 10 as in 2017 so far. Don't get me wrong. I fully understand right now in these other countries that there is definitely a problem. There is definitely a problem in Canada. There is definitely a problem in Sweden. Because their borders, they are letting in all of these refugees and their borders just can't handle it. And that is their problem. Their problem is not with the war on terror they're not doing that. It's not about if you don't fight, you're going to be killed. No, if you let all these idiots in, then yes, there's going to be problems. But you don't have to fight. You don't have to stay in war. You can easily be peaceful. And that comes to my next subject, the borders. The borders are it's a very complex situation. We have borders that we let in a lot of immigrants and we let in some refugees. But are these refugees actually here to help our society and help our country? I would say not, because they are not assimilating to our culture. They are staying in their culture, the same culture that believes in honor killings, and they are just coming in. A lot of them receive welfare, and they are destroying our culture. They are not fans of America. A lot of them are not. And you've got to understand, both sides of the argument make sense. In order to become a refugee, you have to go through a lot of screening, and it's a long process. I get that. But what a lot of people refuse to accept is that ISIS has already said that they will infiltrate the refugee situation. And it is already happening. You look at countries like Sweden, you look at countries like the UK or Germany, you see all of these crises happening and nobody's doing a thing about it because they don't realize what the real problem is. Maybe a lot of them do see the problem and they just don't have a solution. They refuse to face the fact that countries like Poland, who have closed borders to these refugees, have a lot less terror attacks. I can't name one terror attack in Poland. But in reality, who is the real enemy of this? Because terrorism, not all Muslims are terrorists, but it is very disproportionate of Muslims that are terrorists. Majority of terrorists are Muslims. Which brings me to Islam. The religion that has never been for people. The religion that has always been against the way of the West. They've always been against our culture. They have never been pro-America or pro-West. They have always started wars. I can't name one page in the Quran that doesn't have anything violent in it. Now, you look in a Bible, and you can obviously tell that, yes, there are some violent verses. So, I ask people, okay, name 3 violent verses in the Bible, and they'll always come up with the same 3. But if I told you to give me one violent verse in the Quran, I could give you one violent verse in the Quran every day for the next 118 days. Yeah, I can ask for 3 violent quotes from the Bible, and you'll use the same ones because there aren't that many more. Islam is not really that great of a thing. Islam has always been regressive. It's 2,000 years behind the rest of us, and they are very anti people. They're anti woman, they're anti gay. And yes, I get it. The Catholic Church, the Protestant religion, and Orthodox, they haven't been pro gay the past 2,000 years either. But of course not. Because that was the times. And I'm not justifying it, okay? That is not a good thing that happened. But we can't ignore that Islam has not changed. This is just insanity. Why do we not understand that Islam has not changed in the past 2,000 years, but Christianity has? We are seeing more and more of these Catholic priests who are marrying gay couples. We just had recently this gay Muslim wedding. Oh, yeah, that's so great. Yes, I actually kind of do think that's kind of cool. But have you seen all the comments and all these posts by all these Muslims? I shouldn't even quote that because they are Muslims. That is Muslim culture. They've been bashing these people. They said, "Oh, they're not real Muslims. They're gay." Muslims do not intertwine with gays because we do not intertwine our cultures. We are just more progressive than they are. That is why we can't be letting these refugees in. And that brings me to my next topic, gay marriage. Gay marriage is very, very strange because way back then it was about love, loving each other. Yeah, just two people just want to get married. Why can't you accept that? It's not about that, people. It really isn't. If it was about that, they wouldn't be forcing people to bake them cakes. They wouldn't be forcing priests to marry them. But if they were really just two loving people, they would go to priests who were also pro-gay. They wouldn't force ideologies down their throat. They wouldn't force people to think certain things. Do you know why they do this? Because it isn't about two people loving each other. Do you even know where marriage came from? This is a legitimate question. Marriage was invented for two people who wanted to have children to bring in more people, more population for the country. And since the government thought that that's a great thing, which it is, they thought they would give them insurance. They thought they would give them more things to help them financially. Two men and two women, not together, but two men can't have a baby. Two women can't have a baby. You need a man and a woman. Now, I am not anti-gay. You want to be gay, go ahead. I don't care. I just think it's pretty weird how marriage has become, oh, anybody can get married. I mean, why can't you just be together? Why do you have to force people to do it? Me, honestly, I don't give a shit. I don't care what people do. But when you infringe on other people's rights, their religious freedom, that is when it crosses the line. That is when I put my foot down and say, enough is enough. We are done with your bullying. We are done letting you do whatever, because this has brought in the course of more and more atrocities. Gay marriage isn't just about gay marriage. It has brought in more transgender issues, which has also been just terrible, because that has also taken away people's rights with their religious freedom and their freedom of speech, because now you can't say anything against them, because if you bring up any facts, you are a transphobe, and now people are being silenced. You can be attacked, you can be beaten, you can't even speak at a college campus. And all this transgender stuff has been bringing in transabled. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but this is actually a real thing. There was a woman who cut off her own leg because she felt like she was a disabled person who could not have her leg. This is what it's becoming. When you get away from science, get away from two genders, this is what happens. This is what happens when you have gay marriage. There are only two genders, by the way. There's an X and Y chromosome. Depending whether or not you have a Y chromosome, that's whether you're male or female. Now, I don't care if you're a feminine man, I don't care if you're a masculine woman. I will call you what you want. You, even if you want to call yourself a transgender, okay, go ahead. But do not force me to call you anything. Do not force other people to, because that is an infringement on their First Amendment rights. You are taking away people's rights by doing that. You are not about yourself. You are about attacking other people who you feel have oppressed you for the past hundreds and hundreds of years, who haven't even oppressed you personally because you weren't even alive then. You think it is your moral duty to oppress other people who have supposedly oppressed. It's crazy what the left has become. The left is no longer about giving people rights. The left is more about attacking people with different beliefs. And this is exactly why people like me have joined the right. This is exactly why people like me have quit dealing with the left. This is why Trump won, because people are sick and tired of your bullying and your bashing. And oh my god, they always say how trans people are more suicidal. Prove it. You can't prove that. That is not true. They have around the same ratio as everybody else. Which, again, I'll admit, suicide is not really a real thing. It's all in your head. Kind of like More Than Two Genders. But see what happens when you legalize gay marriages. See what happens when you let them take over culture. They start to bring in all these crazy things. It's funny because like none of us are actually homophobic. Nobody's scared of gay people. Nobody's scared of transgenders, so we're not transphobes. Hell, if you're transgender, go ahead. I don't care. I'll be your friend, whatever. And this also brings me to religion. Everyone always seems to blame religion for everything. Well, religion, I don't know why everyone blames it. I think you should have your right to be religious if you want to, and if you don't want to be religious, then don't. But do not force people under your religion. This is the exact same argument as I have with gay people and trans people. But I actually feel for these religious people because they are being forced to marry gays. But in reality, if you think about it, religion is immoral, not the people, but the religion itself is one of the most immoral things in the world. Think about it. The Bible tells you you can be the worst person in the world. You can be terrible. You can kill people. You can eat humans. But if you say, Jesus, I'm sorry and I accept you in my life, then you go to heaven. But if you are a Jew, if you are someone who does not believe in Jesus Christ, if you are someone that does good things your entire life, you'll burn in hell. That is one of the most immoral things ever. And it's just funny how people need a book to be moral anyways. Why? Maybe 1,000 years ago, but we aren't living back then. We are living in a time where we have all the technology, we have science, and you still want to go by this book that has never been proven? Really? Now again, if you're religious, I'm not going after you. I get it. You want to feel comfort. You want to feel like there's something after you die. You want to feel like there's got to be a reason why you want to do good in the world. I just don't see it that way. I see it as I'm going to do everything good in this life so people in the next life don't have it as bad. We live in the greatest era ever. I live in the greatest generation. You know why? Because the generation before me decided to step up. Everything you do that is great, that is bad, will always, always stick around. It is the butterfly effect. If you are rude to someone, that can make their rest of their life terrible. One bad day. And if that doesn't incentivize you to do good things, then you are immoral and you are terrible. I don't know why you need a book to tell you why you need to be a good person. If there wasn't a Bible, would you be a bad person? If the Bible suddenly said, oh yeah, I can do whatever you want, would you kill people? That's a legitimate question. Would you kill people if the Bible said that you could? Because we all know that killing people is immoral. Where do you get your morals from? Do you get it from a book? Or do you get it from empathy? Do you get it from evolution? Do you get it from your fellow peers? Religion is regressive. Just like most of the religions in it are very regressive. You look at Islam, for example. Again, this is what religion has become. All in all, I think all these things are problems and we really need to focus on it. And what this really is about is not attacking people who feel differently. It is about being more accepting. Because that is what life is about, people. We don't need to kill people. We don't need to ban certain religions, which, by the way, we're not doing. Trump never said that. We don't need to kill people because they're gay. We don't need to go after religious people because they're not accepting of your gayness. And we don't need to go after people who sin because they don't believe in your book. We need to just come together, be one another, and fight the real enemies. And the real enemies right now are the globalists. They are. The people who want to end our government. The people who want to end all the great things that this country was built on. Why aren't we going after them? I'll tell you why. Because those governments, the evil ones, have brought in all of these things to separate us. George Soros, the biggest funder of the Hillary Clinton campaign. He is a huge advocate for Black Lives Matter. He was the guy that basically made what happened in Dallas happen. This is what happens when you have a government that is so corrupt and you give them all the power. I mean, think about it. This is exactly why Trump won, people. He was tired of it. He was tired of all the people who told us what we can and can't say. And now we live in an era where anybody can say anything because we have technology. And yet, we're living in a time where people want to silence one another. So it really all comes down to, what do you believe in? What are your morals? Why do you have your morals? Do you have them because of a book? Do you think we should kill other people? Do you think we should spend money so people can kill other people? If so, why?